Let's talk about this production that's heading to the Market Theatre. Well, in fact, it is called Nothing But the Truth. And if you know the classic, you will know if you've been watching, if you've been into theatre long enough, it's Nothing But the Truth by John Kani. It's, of course, a gripping and thought-provoking exploration of family relationships. It is funny and serious at the same time, but more than ever, very relevant. It is a play about two brothers of sibling rivalry, exile, reconciliation, and ambiguities of freedom. Well, the production will open, in fact, at the Sandton Theatre on the Square on March 29th until the 16th of April. It stars well-known, award-winning stage and screen TV actors Sello Maake KaNcube and Ziaphora, Dakile, as well as Mbali, Nhlapo. All three are in the studio. Gentlemen, lady, good morning. Welcome to Morning Live. I want to start with you, Mbali. I mean, this is a classic that we grew up with in theatre. Talk to us about how you started, you were involved in this, and how you got to be part of the cast.
I mean, how we just started is how every actor starts. You go to an audition. We had a virtual audition. We had callbacks. Ziaphora and I only met at the callbacks. We were switched around with different actors. We clicked with other people. And we then later got the roles. We were excited about the roles. And we got to meet Sello. And it was just amazing. And we got to be part of this amazing play, and we're working with an amazing director as well. So yeah, that's how we got to be here and to be part of this amazing show. We auditioned and now we're here.
So look, I mean, this is a classic. It's been told in many different ways, but I think the message really doesn't, change. Tell us a little bit about getting into character and telling the story the best way you know how.
Yeah, this getting into character, I always have issues with but, and I think why I do have this is, because as actors, like, when I get into character, for me, it always seems like, it's like you're at the charismatic church.
Yes.
And you're like, Almighty Father, Almighty Holy Spirit. Because I think, somehow, getting to, for instance, I'll make the example about you.
Yeah.
Just during the break.
Yeah.
And how you were, it was just level. You had hey, how many minutes, how much time do you have during the break? And and then from there it's like, now you're here. You are in character. And now you're in character, you know what I mean? And you're in the character, and you're in the character of an interviewer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're just following a series of actions of just being an interview. And that's what it is. And that's what we do also even as actors.
Yeah.
Because the writers, what they've done, they've already written the series of actions, and all we have to do is follow those series of actions. So that's how I think we get into character. And I think what we want to say is we are focusing so intently that we forget everything else, that is affecting our lives. And we are just focused, and we are representing the life that is on the page.
Yeah.
But when it's like, what is it, at the end of the play, it's like, my voice over. That's your reality.
Yes.
And that is how you actually now, even in your everyday life, is a series of action. How do I get to pay this, rent? How do I get voiceovers? That's what it is, But this play, after that all acting lesson that I'm giving, this play has been something that I think I watched the play, I think around about 2001 or something, and it moved me.
Yeah.
And apart from being just moved by the play, Dr. John Kani has been my idol.
Yeah.
I've idolized him, I think, from before I even met him as a 19-year-old, reading the Sizwe Banzi's Dead, reading The Island. And ultimately meeting him, I think, for the first time, I think, like late 80s, and I remember even going to him one day and say, hey, man, Bra John, that's what we used to call him then in those days, not Dr. Kani. I said, hey, Bra John, I would love to see myself one day, basically, like just following in your footsteps and doing the works that you have done, and at this, I think I just feel I'm at the right age for it. Yes, and it's a beautiful play.
Yeah.
I mean, Brad John, with this play, he has actually taken, we grew up on protest theater. And then protest theater was just dealing with the politics of the day, and we were almost carrying on as if we don't have family life or relationships.
Yes.
You know what I mean? To an extent that, I must not tell this one.
Wait, let's bring Ziaphora into the conversation. I mean, talk to us about your character and what are some of the themes that, are touched on in this production?
Yeah, my character is the catalyst for the unraveling that happens throughout the play. So she's a bombshell who comes in and she just messes everything up. And she brings total chaos, which brings restoration in the end of the show. I'm not going to give too much details, but she's from exile, so she's coming from abroad. I won't say where, but she's coming back to her homeland, to be with her people and that. And but really, preparation for this was quite difficult, right? Because we're using a lot of historical references. We think of it as a classical play, which it is, but it's also a very contemporary play because it really mirrors where we are in our society today and what has led us to this point. So in terms of preparing for the character, I think there had to be a lot of back work that had to be done, a lot of background research that had to be done to inform the things that we say and to give them substance and to give them depth, because we're mentioning a lot of our martyrs, a lot of our historical martyrs, a lot of our political martyrs, and I think it's important to do that justice because that is a reflection of our political status today. So yeah, a lot of shock went into preparation when you think about the TRC and you listen to the things that happened and some of the accounts of the way people had passed during those days, and we're carrying a lot of that. So it's important to give it the integrity that it deserves.
Yeah. Mbali, for you, going into the character, making sure that, you give it the exact treatment that it needed. Ziaphora talk about the preparation. What for you was one of the biggest challenges that you faced in making sure that you nail this character?
The research, prior to even walking into the rehearsal space, going back and doing that research, and also for me to actually say, no, I've never actually sat down with my family members and actually asked them about apartheid and asked them about their experiences. And for the first time, I sat down with my mom and I said, tell me about it. And she told me about the 76 student uprisings. And we connected in a different way, and also taking those experiences and taking those conversations and bringing them into rehearsals with me and bringing them into the character with me. And also thinking about myself, how has apartheid affected me personally, and which situations emotionally have put me in a political standing that I question. I have certain questions that my character has questions in the play. So it's been a lot of research, and also looking at, I mean, my character as an interpreter was an interpreter during the TRC hearings, and looking at interpreters during that time, what struggles did they go through? What if they prepared for the translation, but they never prepared for the emotional impact that went into looking at a victim's family member and explaining what happened, and this is how your child was killed, and so on and so forth. So emotionally, just going into that preparation through research, that was the hardest part, like doing the research and finding those emotions and being truthful to the character.
So look, give us details. What time are you on? You're at the Sandton Theatre. We've spoken about that theatre on the square. Tell us a little bit about that. You're starting on the 29th of March. By now, the train should be moving now.
It's moving. It's moving.
No, it's moving now. It's moving back now.
It's moving, and people must come and see the play.
Yeah, absolutely.
People must come and see the play and see these amazing actors. It's been such a joy working with them. I think just being surrounded by youth, and youthful energy, and the conversations that we've been having.
And the perspective, eh?
And the perspectives,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And this whole thing, I mean, I was just listening to it, you know, the whole you know, look at my baby, you know, and living like that, you know, and I'm like, wow, man, I'm sitting with the future here. You know what I mean? And I think one thing that if I would like to, if I could say something just about the play, you know, we haven't really dealt with the generational hurt and pain. You know what I mean? And I think this play captures how basically socially we have been affected, you know, and how also, and it mixes the politics and the social aspects of our lives. And I think for me, it is the beginning of a conversation, and it's a remarkable work and a turning point of storytelling that John brought into the space.
All right, guys, thank you so much.
Thank
I wish
you,
we could
thank you.
continue, but you know how time is on TV, Mo.
Yeah. Thank you.
Theatre on the Square will be showing South African play Nothing But the Truth by award-winning actor and playwright John Kani. And it is on, as you have there on your screen there, Theatre on the Square, Nothing But the Truth. And we're in conversation there with Sello, Mbali and Ziaphora Dakile.